When you want to sell something, you want to sell it when it's the most talked about in the moment. And that's what it is right now. And that's why everything's so valuable. Welcome back, everyone, to another SlabStox YouTube video and podcast. My name is Aaron, your host. And today we are talking about Pokemon because over this past weekend, it was one of the craziest weekends I've seen for maybe a card set or a brand, a couple different things, just Pokemon in general. This reminds me of the days back in Memorial Day weekend, back during Topps Project 2020, when that set exploded. Completely different thing, so I'm not trying to relate the two together, but just the amount of media attention and hype and articles and people talking about it, posting what they're buying, very similar to that. In the world of Pokemon, if you missed it over this past weekend, I'm going to recap a couple of the things that happened and then what it can look like going forward and a couple of different thoughts I have personally on the explosion of the 1999 first edition base set, which in fact our very own Jamil with the Mealy Stock show covered it and talked about the base set a couple weeks back in his Mealy Stocks episode. So be sure to go check that out. But the really big news items from this past weekend was, one, is that Logan Paul, he's a huge YouTuber. He's got 22 million subscribers on YouTube. A couple weeks back, he was seen on a podcast saying that he bought $60,000 worth of Pokemon cards. And then he went and bought the $200,000 1999 first edition base set box sealed that sold through Heritage Auctions for $200,000. And then what he did was this past weekend was he sold each pack in a group break form to where each person got one pack, and it's for a charity event too, where he had people donate throughout the live stream for the charity that he was supporting for mental health, which is awesome to see too. But for the group break that he did, it was $11,000 per pack, and he sold all 36 packs in the box. From my knowledge, I've heard someone say he might have kept one of the packs sealed for himself to keep, but I'm not exactly sure on that. But sold each pack for $11,000, and there were some ridiculous pulls from the box. Jeremy Potower, I hope I said it right. He is a very well-known Pokemon and toy collectible expert out there in the industry. He said that there was 3 Chanseys, a Blastoise, a Charizard, which was the biggest one. The first edition Charizard holo was pulled. I heard people saying it looked to be in a PSA 9 condition based on the centering and some other things, which is still around $40K. And then also 7 Pikachu were pulled from the box. So the box yielded some crazy results. Those people are balling in the packs, either made money if it's a Charizard, probably lost a little bit if it's other cards. But either way, really cool event. Is live streamed on YouTube with over 3 million viewers on that. So that was a huge, huge thing out there. Was that Logan Paul, really big into Pokemon cards, bought that box, did the group break for the charity, had a lot of different things going on with that. Very, very watched event. And then on the flip side, another really popular celebrity that is getting into Pokemon cards would be Logic. Logic is a rapper who's been seen in videos of Gary Vee in the past, and he said in some of his Instagram posts he used to be into Pokemon when he was a kid, not necessarily the cards because he couldn't afford them. In one of his IG posts, he referenced that he remembered trying to trade food stamps for them because he couldn't afford the cards, but he loved the brand. So now that he's very popular, a rapper with obviously a very large net worth, he has gotten into the Pokemon cards, and he bought a $23,000 box of the 1999 Pokemon the base set, not the first edition set, but the base set. That's like Logan Paul's first edition box, but it's not the first edition. It's a limited base set, which was $23,000. He ended up breaking that box, and here's his pulls. I'll show them on the screen. But he opened that a couple days ago. I think it was on Saturday morning or something. And then later that night, this is when really the biggest thing of the weekend with Pokemon happened, was Logic ended up buying the $220,000 Charizard that sold. And as you see in here in his tweet, he was actually tweeting at Logan Paul. He referenced that he was the one for the $183K, but then factored in the buyer's premium, and it went up to $220,000 for the final sale. And that was the all-time high sale for a Pokemon, a Charizard card. And it's crazy. It was getting reported everywhere. TMZ was covering it. Complex was covering it. Places that have millions of followers and website readers were covering it. So really, really crazy there. So many people revitalizing their Pokemon love that they had as kids. Myself, I played the Pokemon Pearl game, was the one that I played when I was younger on the Nintendo DS. I wasn't really playing those games back because I was too young at that moment really to be into the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy games, the red and the blue and whatever. But I did get into that Nintendo DS as I got into middle school or late elementary school, and just a lot of people like myself and then other people were playing the trading card game too. Have now been getting back into, obviously, the celebrities being the biggest ones that you're seeing in the media, but many people like them, digging around their closets, finding these cards and bringing them to life, which is crazy. And those few events throughout this weekend really just catapulted what's been happening for now a couple months of people buying Pokemon, trading them, talking about them in the sports card industry. I know that Pokemon for years and years and years have had people that have been really into it, collecting the cards, investing in the cards, doing the PSA grading. There's people who have been really into it, but this is a whole new segment of people that are actually learning about it, wanting to either buy them or even learn about them and talk about them, which is the biggest aspect. The stuff that's talked about the most is really what gains the most value the fastest. And right now, that's what's happening with Pokemon. It's getting talked about the most. It's gaining the most value. It's definitely the hottest market in the sports or even the card industry, I should say. Obviously, it's not sports cards, but it's the card industry. And it's just a huge, huge deal right now. Really, all this news right now is leading to the rest of the market following in the footsteps of the record-breaking $200K Logan Paul box sale, the Logic $220,000 Charizard sale. It's really adjusting the rest of the cards that the people, out in the weeds of the industry, like, the people that are buying and selling daily are able to get into. The Blastoise, the Venusaur, the Charizard, all those cards in lower grade are going like crazy right now because that's what people can afford who aren't celebrities. And they're, popping new all-time highs for a Blastoise PSA 8 sold for $4,800 first edition. That card was probably around $2,000 a couple months ago. Even a Mewtwo, a BGS 8 sold for $1,650 on auction. The previous sale was a PSA 8, so there was not a BGS 8 that previously sold. But that sold for just under $1,000. It was at $900 flat, actually, and that was on August 25th. So BGS 8, worse than the PSA 8. People love the PSA grade label, and it's sold for $750 higher than what the previous sale did at the end of August. So plenty of cards from the 1999 base set, first edition set are going crazy. And everything else in the Pokemon industry, there's really so many different brands out there, so many different sets. The Champion's Path recently released. There's Hidden Fates, and then there's all that XY stuff from 2016 and Evolutions, and just so much out there, so many different language sets. Like, it's impossible to cover all of it, or even to talk about all of it, or even to buy it all. There's just so much out there that is left to be untapped because really all of the news that came in the last weekend has all been off of 1999 base set, either first edition with the Logan Paul box, and then the Charizard sale to Logic, or the Unlimited, which would be the Logic box that he opened for $23,000, but all from that 1999 base set. And there's so much else out there. So there's a lot of untapped ground. If you're really big into Pokemon, I'm sure you can go and either you already know it and you know what to buy, or you can learn it and you can find different areas to buy and maybe grade. There's just so much possibilities out there with this. And of course, I'm not an expert. I don't know everything about it at all. I don't even really know that much, other than I learned a lot about the 1999 set over the last 3, 4, 5 months. But there's so much else out there that's left to be covered and untapped and to be talked about. So I implore you to go and find out about that if you wish. But speaking on this from purely a trend analysis about the last weekend of hype, I'm not relating this to Project 2020. Like I said, I'm just not doing that because it's two completely different things. Project 2020 was the first thing, just came out. Tons of people started talking about it and hyped up really quick, and then exploded, and then it crashed. With Pokemon, it's been a 20-plus year thing now. I mean, this has been going for a long time, the franchise as a total, and it has so many people around the world that are in love with it, either if it's the movies, the TV shows, the video games, the trading card game, even like little toys and collectibles and action figures or whatnot of these guys. There's so much out there, and it really can latch on with those people who really want to have a part of their childhood. Because when we're talking about sports cards from the past year, we're talking about people that got involved because of their childhood. People didn't get involved in Project 2020 because of their childhood, but they did get involved in sports cards because of their childhood. They exploded, and obviously sports cards are here to stay. That's why you're watching this video. That's why there's so many people in the industry right now, and Pokemon just another segment that's happening to. And I know it's hard for some people to understand they're really into sports cards because these are fictional characters and you might not have ever even heard of it, or you don't even know who Blastoise or Venusaur or Charizard or Pikachu are. But there are a lot of people out there that do and that really love it, and it definitely has the legs to stay. Now, also speaking about it from a purely hype trend analysis standpoint, is that this past weekend has been the most talked about I've ever seen Pokemon cards in my life. And I know that I haven't been into it that long, but at least from the standpoint of when these things became valuable till now, this is the most talked about period. When you want to sell something, you want to sell it when it's the most talked about in the moment. And that's what it is right now. And that's why everything's so valuable. And that is talking about short-term selling. I'm not talking about long-term. I'm talking about if you're looking at the next 2 months and saying, do I sell my Pokemon cards today or do I sell them in 2 months? You might just want to make that call. I sell them today because it's the most talked about time. I know there's going to be buyers out there that want this stuff. And that's not talking about 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because anything can gain value over those next long-term periods. But when we're talking about short-term selling, really, when is it the most talked about? When is there most hype? When is there the most buyers? And right now is a crazy time for it, to where if you have multiple cards, maybe sell a couple. If you have one, maybe sell that because you know you can reinvest it somewhere else in the marketplace that might be undervalued. Now, if you love the cards and you want to hold them, by all means, because like I just talked about, I gave examples for why I think that Pokemon is here to stay and people are going to get involved in the other sets and they're going to want to collect these things from their youth. I mean, I just had a bunch of high school friends texting me about it. They're talking about they had this card and this card when they were a kid, and it's really important to them and stuff. And maybe, you know, they might go and start buying them too. But there's just so much going on with it that is more than just one hype weekend. Now, it is one hype weekend that can lead to values exploding, but there's a lot more legs underneath it that can push it further as years to come. I know that the 25th anniversary is coming up, and I'm sure that they're going to do a lot for that, the Pokemon brand. But there's just so much left to come for it, I believe. And maybe you want, like I said, to sell those short term, but hold some for long term. A lot of different ways to do it. If you have Pokemon cards right now, I do not think you can go wrong with either selling or holding. If you're looking to buy, I'd be more careful on these 1999 first edition cards because they have went up in value so much over the last couple weeks and months. It is definitely more of a risk, but like I said, long term still can be a winner for sure. So do what you think is best when it comes to buying these Pokemon cards or not. If you don't know anything about it, maybe it's best to just sit it out because you'll be mad at yourself for trying to jump into something new if you don't really love it and want to learn it. But if you do, I implore you to do more research. Try to find out about some of those post-2000 sets. There might be some good area there that you can go and find some different things. Definitely keep track of the SlabStox videos that are going up. Last week he talked about Champion's Path, which is a very good video to watch on a new Pokemon set they released and how to get involved. And there will be more to come. Really quick, I almost forgot, there's one last thing to talk about, is that the next big thing that's coming for Pokemon is that on the app called Rally Road, RALLY, and then RD. You can Google it in the App Store. I've talked about it before on the YouTube show, on the podcast, with the LeBron that sold and about it getting fractionally invested in, where a company can split it up into multiple shares, IPO it, get it fully SEC qualified. Back in June, Rally Road did that with a Pokemon PSA 10 first edition 1999 base set, all 102 cards. And that set was valued at $125,000. And they sold shares for $25 a piece. I actually happened to get two. I was really fortunate enough to get two. They sold out super, super quickly. And that set right now, think about it. If the Charizard sold for $220K alone, that set has Charizard in it. How much is this set going to sell for next? And it actually opens up for trading on October 20th. So Rally Road does every 3 months. There's a trading window for that asset. The Pokemon 1999 102 set is opening up on October 20th for the trading window, and it will get revalued based off of how much the shares are worth. And I had a discussion post on Instagram. Most people were expecting it to be between $350,000 and $550,000. Some talking over $1 million, which is crazy. We'll see what happens. I'll definitely be covering more videos and Instagram posts in the future. So be sure to follow us at SlabStox on Instagram. Subscribe to this YouTube show so you can keep track of the Pokemon and sports card market, and we will have many more videos to come. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.